And thank you, the Civic Association, for hosting this annual event, and thank you to my wife, Evie. Without her support, it would not be possible for me or anyone without the support of their families to do this. So the residents of Seacliff have an important decision to make. There are three candidates interested in leading the village, and residents will select one of us. I want to take this opportunity to discuss some of the major issues of this election. The first issue is the village budget. Throughout my 6 years as a trustee, I have argued to control spending. I was frequently the sole dissenting voice during negotiations on fiscal matters. My constant question was, where is the money coming from? I do not believe we should commit to something if we do not know in advance how we will pay for it. In 6 years I've been a trustee. Our budget has increased by $1.3 million. About 15 to 20% of that came from increases in labor costs, health insurance, and energy. Another 15 or 20% came from tax grievances, primarily from commercial properties, which we have now brought under control with the Homestead Act and reappraisal that was enacted about a year and a half ago. The balance came from 5 identifiable areas totaling $775,000, which includes $150,000 from refuse collection, $175,000 from roads, $72,000 from bonds and bond anticipation notes, $116,000 in DPW administrative costs, and $262,000 in legal costs. The village receives between 80 and 90% of its revenue from property taxes, and the balance from a variety of areas that includes building department fees, court fines, a small share of sales tax, and a portion of the state mortgage tax, as well as an assortment of other intergovernmental revenue sharing. I disagreed with the mayor and the board on the use of expensive independent contractors to act as our village attorney and our superintendent of buildings. I believe we can fill those positions at considerably lower cost and with satisfactory results by hiring employees instead of expensive outside firms. The second issue is our building department and the permit process. When Mayor Creek was first elected 6 years ago, she pledged to overhaul the building department. She did a great job, and the process was greatly improved. Unfortunately, in the past year, the process has once again become too difficult, too expensive, and too contentious, and needs to be overhauled again. The last issue I want to speak about is experience. It takes a new trustee about a year to fully understand all the issues that the board deals with and to understand how government works. Even a resident who comes to every board meeting and conference will take a long time to become effective on the other side of the table. The new board will consist of 2 new trustees with no trustee experience and 2 trustees with 1 year's experience each. Seacliff needs a mayor who understands the issues and understands how government works. I have been a trustee for 6 years, with the last 3 years as deputy mayor. I have negotiated 5 budgets and am in the middle of negotiations on the 6th. The first task of the new mayor will be to propose and negotiate a new budget within the first 3 weeks of taking office. In addition, the Public Works Union contract expires on June 1st. I was there when the last contract was negotiated. I've been a decision-making executive for the past 36 years. I'm currently the vice president of Hoshizaki America, one of the world's largest manufacturers of restaurant equipment. I spent 3 years as project director for Nassau County, in charge of 50 to 60 projects at any one time. My proudest projects are the $63.5 million restoration of the historic Theodore Roosevelt Executive and Legislative Building, which I brought in on time and on budget, and the creation of the Health and Human Services Department, which was so successful, it became a national model and earned County Executive Tom Swazi the distinction of being named the Municipal Executive of the Year by Governing Magazine. I received a citation from Nassau County for my work on this project. County Executive Swazi appointed me to serve on the County Cell Tower Committee and as a Nassau delegate to the joint Nassau-Suffolk Wi-Fi Long Island Task Force. Prior to becoming a trustee, I served on the village's Downtown Revitalization Task Force, Technology Committee, Website Committee, and a Parking Task Force. I also served as a trustee to the Landmarks Association, co-chair of the Landmarks Association Grants Committee, coached Little League Baseball and girls softball. I've hosted 2 foreign exchange students, and when the Landmarks Preservation Commission received a grant to survey neighborhoods in the village, that intern stayed in our home. We'll be hosting another intern this summer. As a trustee, I've been the liaison to the Downtown Revitalization Task Force, Technology Committee, Website Committee, Village Museum, 2 more parking task forces, the Safety Committee, the Seacliff Landmarks Preservation Commission, and the Nassau County Police Department. Seacliff needs an experienced mayor to lead the Board of Trustees, and I believe I am the most qualified for that position. Thank you.
Good evening. John Ryan, 119 Du Bois Avenue in Seacliff. I'm going to address this to the mayoral candidates, and it's in reference to the sewers. As Bob knows, we spent maybe close to $1 million planning some sewer system for the village area down to Memorial Park. I voiced my opinion as the wrong way to go right from the very beginning. In fact, at some of the board meetings, I suggested you should start a sewer committee from residents that are knowledgeable in this, and you have plenty of smart, intelligent residents who will be glad to volunteer and give their input into something like this. I personally feel the sewer
Is there a question, please?
The question is, I feel the sewer should go east down towards Glen Cove Avenue. What's your feeling on that?
That was a good question. The village had engaged a company called Averka and Bartolucci, which is an expert in the field of sewage, and they found that the least expensive and most effective way of getting the sewers to the Seacliff Business District was having a gravity line that would start at Main. Roslyn is the peak, but they could go from Main to Memorial Park and then down Prospect to the boulevard. And we have taken that approach because